Who should be cast as Princess Zelda? A biological man or a biological woman? Well, to start with, let's go and take a look at who out of these two people actually looks like Zelda. But also, I still don't understand the conservative obsession with Sydney Sweeney, as if left-wing people don't also find her attractive. She's a very conventionally attractive woman. Like, I don't understand this obsession with, like, man, liberals must hate her. They really don't. This video brought to you by my YouTube members and patrons. Thank you guys. How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another subreddit video. Today we are going to be returning to r/AreTheCisOk, the subreddit that will make you go, oh, these are real people. These are real people that can vote and have children. Yikes. Very quickly before we begin, I just wanted to mention that, as always, if you are a YouTube member or patron, you get one extra video every single week, so please do consider joining. You can join for as low as £1 a month. That's basically 25p per video, so if you're interested in that, please do consider it. Other than that, let's get into the subreddit, shall we? My bi boyfriend just came out as gay. I asked him about our relationship and he said, it won't change a thing. I'm a trans woman. That sucks. That really sucks. But as much as it sucks, it's time to get out of that relationship, I think. You know, if your partner isn't there to validate you in the gender that you are, then they're not a good partner for you. I think this is something that's really important, and a lot of trans people end up trapping themselves in relationships with straight people that don't align with the gender that they are, if that makes sense. And it's not a good relationship, and it's going to be bad for your mental health. It's going to be bad for you in the long run. Just don't do it. It's not worth the temporary companionship. My tattoo artist told me his teenage son came out to him as trans by giving him a bunch of blue cupcakes and a greeting card that said, "It's a boy." That's cute, I said. It was not cute, he snapped. I thought he was pregnant. So first of all, this is funny, this is good, it's inclusive, good meme. It's ruined by the comments. His teenage daughter, I thought she was pregnant, fixed it. What is this Tumblr garbage? It was a funny meme that was cute and wholesome, and guess what? You just couldn't allow it to be, could you? You had to go and ruin it, because that's all people like this think about, is ruining trans people's fun. Oh, you're trans and you exist? Well, I'm a transphobe, so I've decided that's not allowed. Pretty much their entire personality. I got made fun of for being trans today. I'm not trans. When I was walking through the mall today, two random teenage boys started yelling transphobic slurs at me and saying that I'd never be a woman. I am a cis woman. I just have very masculine facial features and a flat chest. I'd like to pretend that it didn't hurt, but holy shit it did. This has happened to me multiple times. I just wish I could be a pretty girl. I don't like going into women's bathrooms anymore because I'm scared of someone getting angry at me for it. I feel horrible for trans people. I can't imagine the harassment they have to endure. I don't know why people are so cruel. This is another classic case of transphobia hurts everyone. It's obviously directed at trans people and they get the absolute worst of it, and that's so overwhelmingly shit. But it hurts everybody. This so-called protecting women and children transphobes will go out of their way to harass women that they think are trans with no other sign than their appearance. This harms everybody. All this does is cement in the eyes of transphobes and bigots that unless you are a conventionally attractive woman, you are less than a woman, right? That's all it cements to them. And it's just so toxic and harmful to absolutely fucking everybody. Everybody. Pride Month. Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Hey, OP who made this meme, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. You can be aware of both. You can celebrate both, right? Crazy thought. Both exist and they don't have to be exclusive to one another. Even crazier thought, there are men in Pride that suffer with their mental health, especially as a result of being part of the LGBTQ umbrella. So these things tie together, they're all linked. You don't have to only celebrate one or the other. They can both be celebrated. Non-binary, The Last of Us actress Bella Ramsey, who uses they them pronouns, said Pedro Pascal is a real champion of the LGBTQ community. adding that she had anxiety about being openly queer and that Pascal was there for her. Uses they them pronouns, adding that she. Yeah, did they just not proofread this? They referred to Bella Ramsey as an actress and used she pronouns immediately after stating that Bella Ramsey uses they them pronouns. Just zero effort was put in. Literally zero effort was put into this post. You're trying to make a wholesome thing about how Pedro Pascal supported Bella Ramsey and you just fail to do the one thing that you needed to do here. Lately, there's been a spike of superphobia in the United States. Bigot, transphobe, it's not a real sexuality. Be careful who you antagonize. While some super straights are out of the closet, not everyone is so lucky. Don't be a superphobe. So the whole super straight thing, first of all, was a psyop started by 4chan. Let's get that out there. It was a thing started by 4chan. It's not real. Second of all, you can tell it's a fucking meme started by 4chan because the colors for it are literally the hub colors, right? Oh, it's obvious. Third of all, straight people want to be persecuted so hard, right? The only way a straight person that has never been persecuted in their life can get away with feeling like this is if they compare themselves to queer people. This meme is literally a straight person going, man, I just really wish I could be queer. They have to pretend for 5 seconds that they get the treatment that they give to queer people so that they can feel like they've been persecuted, because they get off on feeling like they've been persecuted, but they don't get persecuted. So they've had to make it seem like they get the treatment that they give to queer people for 5 seconds. Also, they used a bi person as a, like, in the closet super straight person. What? What person is like, ah, man, I need to cover up the fact that I'm straight, so I'm gonna pretend to be bi so that people don't know I'm really straight? Again, just baffling straight persecution fetish here, because you know who does have to hide the fact that they are who they are? Gay and trans people, because there's so many chances that if they come out to their parents or friends, they'll be cast out or even assaulted. But no, straight people are being persecuted by queer people for being straight. No, you're not. No one gives a shit if you're straight. Editor's note to say a piece of information that I meant to talk about and forgot is that they act like queer people are like mad at the fact that they don't want to date trans people and don't want to date queer people, right? When I think that couldn't be further from the truth, right? If you were a transphobe, I can't think of a single trans person that would be unhappy with the fact that a transphobe doesn't want to date them. In fact, I think any trans person would feel so much safer when actually trying to date people and get into the dating market. They would feel so much safer if they could have a guarantee that they aren't accidentally going to hit on a transphobe or a closet self-hateful homophobe who doesn't realize they're actually gay, right? Because so many assaults on trans people come from people who sleep with them only to have this self-loathing of like, oh no, I might be gay, I need to beat up this trans person, you know? I think any trans person out there would feel so much safer knowing that they wouldn't encounter these people. But the reality is, super straight people, they quite often end up in queer dating markets because it turns out they're not quite as straight as they put out to be. Naming Imain Khalif has caused immeasurable psychological damage. The psychological damage done to the young woman he punched while the entire world watched and sporting establishment jeered, shaming and gaslit them, is naturally of no importance whatever. J.K. Rowling, the so-called defender of women, once again misgendering a cis woman because she won in a sports match. I mean, it really just says everything, doesn't it? That J.K. Rowling is still out here defending women by tearing down cis women that don't match the level of femininity that she has decided makes someone a cis woman. That's it. That's all there is to it. J.K. Rowling is a piece of shit that doesn't care about anyone but being transphobic. And she doesn't care who she tears down to be transphobic. And following up on that, we have another J.K. Rowling post really playing up how big of a piece of shit she is when she said, "We had it when we set up Bira's place too. I am a woman with PCOS and I have a full beard. Will you let me come for counseling?" One man told a support worker over the phone in his bass baritone, Strangely, on learning he was being recorded, he hung up. So much to unpack here. PCOS, a real condition that can cause women to grow facial hair and to have deep voices. That's a real thing that exists. Also, I guarantee they didn't say they have a beard on the phone. I guarantee JK Rowling just added that piece of information just to justify her transphobia all the more, because no one on the phone goes, I'm a woman with a beard, can I join? No, obviously not. Second of all, yeah, no shit, they hung up after they learned they were being recorded. They're talking about a very, very sensitive issue here. They're asking if they can go to counseling. That's such a sensitive and hard subject for anybody. For you to go, I think you're a man and I'm recording you right now. Anybody would hang up in that situation. JK Rowling is just such a piece of shit that she hears that a woman has PCOS and goes, you're a man. I'm not letting you into counseling because I've decided you're a man. What a piece of shit. This is genius. I should start a business and hire only trans women. Men's strength, women's wages, no maternity leave. I am so smart. Guys, do you get it? It's really funny. The joke is exploiting people's labor based on their gender identity. Isn't that a hilarious joke? Isn't that just really funny? Just a really funny joke? So funny and smart. Wow. Homos and trans are all pedos. I'm honestly happy that the LGBT Foundation is finally speaking out for pedosexual rights. The only thing worse than a really blatantly obvious 4chan psyop is when homophobes and transphobes decide that they'll just believe anything that's fed to them. What's this? A really obvious 4chan psyop? I've decided that that's a real thing that queer people are doing so that I can justify my hatred against them. I'm the good guy. You know who else makes up info about, you know, other factions of people that they dislike so that they have an excuse to persecute them? I'll let you in on a little sneak bit. There was a group of people that did that in a really big war, like a really big one. They famously lost. I'll let you guess who it was that did that. On our street, everyone is welcome. Together, let's build a world where every person and family feels loved and respected for who they are. Happy Pride Month. Even Sesame Street is run by child grooming now. Wow, protect your children. Ah, Sesame Street, the place that teaches empathy and loving one another and being kind to one another. The place that's been their whole message forever. Yeah, they must be evil because they're saying, hey, maybe we should accept each other for who we are and love each other regardless. No, the child groomers now. Wow, what's that? You're teaching children empathy? No, I won't accept that. Not me. My child will never learn empathy. Not while I'm raising them. Yeah, you don't need to tell us that your child's not gonna have empathy. Also, the classic, you know, oh, Sesame Street's run by groomers. That's why I voted for Epstein's best friend as president. Yeah. Hey, conservatives, if you really want to go for the real groomers here, if you really want to eliminate groomers in our society, one, maybe make child marriage illegal. You know, maybe consider that, you know, considering that in the majority of states where child marriage is illegal, it was Republicans that blocked the banning of said child marriage. And second of all, maybe stop defending and elevating religious figures who assault children. Maybe stop leaving your children alone with groomers and then allowing a church to cover up when said groomers assault children. Also, maybe stop voting child groomers and people that assault children into positions of power in politics, like the many Republican Congress members, House members, presidents that have been voted in. If you want to go for child groomers, that's a good place to start. People living normal lives. LGBTIQA+. Once again, it's funny because it's this persecution fetish projection that they have here, because no queer people cares about a normal family enjoying their lives. Not one. You see a family out in the park, I don't even look at them. I don't give them a second look. That's just a normal family enjoying their lives. However, you know what happens when a conservative perceives someone that they think is even a hint of being trans or gay, they fucking blow their tops, they lose their shit, and they scream at them. But those same conservatives want to act like they're the ones that are being persecuted and the LGBTQ are out to get their families, when LGBTQ people just want to live their fucking lives. They just want to go outside and enjoy their day without being harassed by some rando dude who thinks that that person's out for their family. The persecution fetish projection is just the absolute transphobe playbook at this point. Unnaturally bright colored hair, plethora of facial piercings, cries joyful tears over injecting herself with hormones. We have a serious mental health crisis in this nation. So let's take this apart for a second. We have a person that has an appearance based on what they like and think looks cool. That's normal. That's been done for decades. Piercings aren't exactly new. They haven't been new for decades. And hair dye, also not very new. I mean, look at the punk generation. But anyway, you have a person who appears how they want to appear, who, for the first time in their life, it feels so validated by something in their life. In this case, finally being able to get onto HRT and finally getting to validate themselves in how they feel about themselves. Crying tears of joy because for the first time they are validated, right? A great moment in this person's life. And OP's response to that is to try and invalidate them. And then has the audacity to go, we have a serious mental health crisis in this nation. If you are going around invalidating trans people at every opportunity you have, tearing down trans people and assaulting their mental health, you are the person causing the mental health crisis. You know, it's like bullying a kid until they kill themselves and then going, I just don't know why so many children are killing themselves. I only bully them to the brink of death. I just don't understand why it's happening. You're the person causing it. Am I right or am I right? They, them. Ugly people with no personality skills. No, I'm gonna have to adjust this meme real quick. I've made my own little one. This is much better, I think, because this is the real case. This is conservatives with no personality skills making Transvestigation their whole personality. Because who actually gives a shit if someone's non-binary or trans or identifies in a way that they want to identify? It doesn't affect your life in any way. So unless you're making Transvestigation and being a transphobe your whole personality, I don't honestly understand why you would care. You've made it matter to yourself. The only person making it as important to you is you. So maybe work on that, I guess. Maybe try working on your personality instead of making tearing down other people your whole personality. And the final post. If you feel the need to talk to 6-year-olds about sexuality, you're not a teacher, you're a predator. So there's many layers to why this is stupid. But first of all, no one's teaching 6-year-olds about sexuality, you know? But let's look at it for a second. If you can tell a child when a man and a woman love each other very much, they can get married and start a family, because that's the basis of what you're teaching children, right? You can also teach children when a man and a man or a woman and a woman love each other very much, they can get married and start a family. You know, I'll take it a step further. Let's just say when two people love each other very much, they can get married and start a family. No sexualizing there. It's just telling children that anybody can love anybody and get married in a completely non-sexual way. Right? But furthermore, you know, talking about this subject, girls can start puberty as low as 8 years old, right? And in some extreme cases, even lower, you know, outliers exist. So preparing girls for information about what's going to happen to their bodies very soon, I think is really important, because a lot of really fucking terrifying and confusing shit happens to your body when you start going through puberty, especially for girls. So preparing them for that, I think, is so important. It's why I think sex education in schools needs to be taught at a young age, because God, is that a terrifying time for anybody. But it's just baffling to me that the people that are against this kind of thing, you know, they act like they're out to protect children, but they don't want children to know what's happening to their bodies. They don't want children to know that they're normal and that the way they feel about anyone is normal, that the way they feel about men, women, or if they're not attracted to anyone is normal. Those are normal things that people go through. They don't want people to know that. They don't want children to know that at all. They don't want children to know that consent is really important and that you can, in fact, fact know if an adult is mistreating you and doing things that they shouldn't be doing to you against your consent because you haven't consented as a child. They don't want children to know that. They don't want children to know that Republicans are the people that have not made child marriage illegal and that Republicans are the only people that engage in such a practice. They don't want children to know any of this because lack of education is an important tool for keeping people under your control, because Republicans just want to control people, including children, and they can do that. They can groom children into their own beliefs. They can make children act the way they want by controlling what is taught to them in schools and painting anything else as a predator, because that's all they want to do, is paint anything that isn't just conservative ideologies as a predator, because it's a really easy tool for just removing any voice from your opposition. This kind of thing, right, I mentioned it earlier, is a tool that was used by Nazis in the World War. The Nazis didn't win, and they won't win now. And that is where I'm going to end the video today. I feel like that's a pretty good place to wrap it up. The Nazis won't win. They will never win. They build their houses on sand. They are entirely rooted in foundations that are as flimsy as a piece of paper that's been left out in the rain. They'll never win, and no matter how many times they try and manage to insert themselves into positions of power, they always crumble. Always. Without fail. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you would like to support me in making more content like this, then I have a Patreon in the description down below, or equally you can click on that join button on the channel to support me. It helps a lot more than you might realize, but by no means should you feel like you have to. I'm going to keep making content regardless. A huge, massive special thank you to all of the wonderful YouTube members and patrons that do support me, though. All of your names are up on screen right now. It genuinely helps so much, and it genuinely means so much. So thank you to everybody that does. If you do support the channel, either through YouTube members or patrons, either works. You get 4 extra videos every single month for as low as £1 a month. That's effectively 1 video for 25p. So if you think that's worth it, please do consider that. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have enjoyed, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.